Kia ora. Welcome to the Run Adjacent podcast. My name's Mal. Hayden is out this week. He's working hard setting up for the Petihaka Trail Race. So instead, I've got my co-host Dwayne Kalli.Pat with me. Mr. Bagel Boy, how we doing?
Yeah, I'm doing good, Mal.
What'd you do this morning?
Just a little trot at park run there.
Yeah, you're still that record holder there, aren't you?
Yeah.
Yeah, no, he's official. We are supported by Trek Trail and Fish. If you could visit them at 4 Wakeland Street in Como, or you can visit them online at trektrailfish.co.nz. You can get 10% off of your purchase using the code RA10. They've got heaps of things running, trail running, fueling, lots of good stuff there. They also have free shipping for orders over $150. So if you live somewhere down south, then you can probably get some free shipping there by ordering a pair of shoes. Our guest today is Patrick Kalin. Pat is a local Whangarei runner. He's got some impressive times considering how recently he started running, although I don't really know how recently that has been, but I'm excited to get into it. He's raced in a lot of the local half marathons, marathons, and a backyard ultra. His most recent event was placing second at Beach to Basin, where he ran 38:20. That is a 10K, but I would say it's longer than a 10K.
Yeah, I think it was 10.6.
Yeah.
10.5, yeah.
Yeah.
I met Pat actually at our local park run. We were talking about your nose.
Oh, yeah, the polyps.
Yep.
That's
polyps.
right. Yeah.
Yep. I have, from the beginning, had a really hard time following along with what you were saying because of your Kiwi accent and Kiwi slang that you use. So it was pretty funny because you would crack me up with some of the stories that you would tell, and I also half the time didn't know what you were actually saying. I'm pretty excited to have you on today. I feel like you've got a lot of good stories ahead. So thank you so much for coming along to Run Adjacent.
Yeah, cool. Cheers, guys. Good to be here. And, yeah, seen, a lot of other people I know on the pod over the last, I don't know, how long's it been now? 6 months? A year?
How long has it been?
I don't know.
It's been quite a while. So, no, cheers for inviting me. And, yeah, happy to chat away and, yeah.
Yeah.
Hopefully be, mildly entertaining.
Eating banana bread is off to a good start.
It's so good.
Yeah. I didn't make it.
Banana bread is like
Who made
a
it?
pro strategy for refueling after running. It's
Yes.
just high carbs, sugar.
It's so good.
Yeah, it's made from the Hare Krishna shop down by the Saturday market.
Oh, yep.
Yeah.
Cool.
We're not sponsored them, but we're thinking about getting sponsored by
Yeah,
them.
need sponsorship.
Yeah. So, Pat, could you tell me, when did your running journey begin?
Well, I did a bit of running at school, I suppose. I didn't really train or anything. But I always did quite well in the cross country. Always used to get, once I got to high school, always used to get second. Had this other guy, Ryan, he used to beat me every time. Every time by not by much, but enough, Mm-hmm. And so I sort of had played rugby and stuff out on the wings, so just really had to run out there. That was the main thing. But fast forward maybe, I don't know, 20 years, I suppose, and then just got back into actually running properly. And if I'm really honest, I just saw that David Goggins guy on the Joe Rogan.
Oh, really?
And he was going on about running, and I'm like, man, he doesn't look like a runner. And, a runner was typically quite, he was a big sort of bulky guy, especially when he started. And his story was really sort of inspiring and how we got into it. And I thought, oh, well, maybe I could go out there and give it a go again. And I just got out there and ran a few loops around the property, and it was tough. It was real tough. And but I enjoyed it. And I thought, oh, well, maybe I'll start doing this a bit more. And it was around that time when all the lockdowns and that were happening. So I thought, oh, well, it's a good time to get out there and get stuck in. So, that's kind of all just went from there.
Mm. And you mentioned you played some rugby. Did you do any other sports growing up?
I think I played soccer, football, for one season. But, just rugby mainly. That was the only one I really did.
When because if you're watching David Goggins, Was there, after watching him, were you thinking like, oh, I want to do an ultra someday, or like, oh, I want to run a marathon, or was it more of just like, I want to get out there because this is David Goggins?
Yeah, it was just inspiring hearing him talk, and I'm just hearing him talk about his upbringing and everything, and I wasn't thinking when I heard about what he had done with the running, and even running a marathon seems so foreign and something I'd never be able to do that. And I thought if I can just get out there and get into it to do, 5K. I think I did 5K after, a couple of weeks, but just to get out there and do something just seemed to be, a good thing. His story was, he's a real intense individual, but the story is really inspiring, So.
And you've got 2 dogs that you run with. So did you start running straight away with Luna?
Yeah, had Luna, yeah. Yep. No, Luna was, I'm just trying to think. Yeah, Luna would have been about a year old then. So it was, usually give them both of them, I've waited until they're over a year old before I start running with them. So that was good timing. And being a black lab, you've got to work really hard to keep the weight off them. So, that was me and her out there for ages. And love running with the dogs.
What was it, just to go back to David Goggins in the start, what was it about his story that was so inspiring to you?
Yeah, I suppose how just how he was able to get through, how he was able to just push through everything, And when he tried to get with the Navy SEAL thing when he failed, it wasn't really about him succeeding all the time. It was more about him, failing and being able to, get back up and give it another crack, just how you go into how he was brought up and with his father and the upbringing and all that stuff, and being a black guy growing up in that mainly white town, and how he suffered a lot for that, and just how he really pushed through, and how much sort of tenacity he had, I suppose, which, as we know, is really important to the running journey. Yeah, because man, a lot of runs you do, like I don't know, for me anyway, your legs get sore and real easy to quit. You could always stop and just walk back, but you don't often do,
Yeah. I think those people that you look up to, oftentimes, especially if it's like their story, then that's something that you can relate to sometimes. And so, I find like a lot of the runners that I am inspired by, it's because like I can relate to some of their stories too, and just the things that they've persevered. So it's pretty cool. It's fun that David Goggins was the one for you that kicked it off. Go ahead.
Yeah, I think it's very relatable, like, because I also started running later in life, and it's almost a bit easier to relate to him talking about it because he didn't start till later in life as well, as opposed to someone that's always run, and you kind of see those kind of runners when you're not a runner, and you're like, oh, they just always do it, and I don't do it, so it doesn't kind of translate. But seeing him go from not being a runner and pretty big to like starting running, and it's like, and kind of hits home, and like, oh yeah, so I could start doing that now and become a runner and maybe run an ultra marathon. Yeah,
I remember when he said when he started running and he could only run like not even a mile, and he had to walk, and I'm like, man, like I can already do considerably better than that. And I'm like,
I'm better than David Goggins.
Like I'm already better than Goggins. Like, but to see how far he came, it was incredible. Like when he's talking about running 200 miles, and then he's talking about how he could barely run a mile without having to walk.
And that's the tenacity side of things.
And how he went from there to like, being what he is now.
Yeah.
And sure, like, maybe he overdoes it a bit sometimes, with injuries and stuff, but the story of how, where he's come from to where he got to is incredible, really. Mm-hmm. But there's a lot of runners in the, there's a lot of people in the running community who have done, nothing. His story is a bit unique, but, it is pretty inspiring. Yeah.
You mentioned that he has had a lot of injuries. Is there any injuries that you've had because you started in 2020, so you've been running now for about 4 years?
Yeah, just my shins really, Yeah, like they're all right at the moment, but I was in the physio, been in there a couple of times for the shin splints. Like when it was bad, I couldn't really sort of jump. I don't know if you guys have ever had it, but when it's bad, like as soon as you load up the shins at all, there's a lot of pain straight away. But that's the only real injury. And I did the IT band. I did that once.
Yeah.
And that was bad, But that came right reasonably quickly.
Yeah.
And I still feel it. I'm playing squash. I feel it sometimes if I reach right out. And and I feel like it feels like it wants to snap every now and then, eh? Like I felt like it's almost like an electric shock. I don't know if any of the listeners have ever experienced that, but I'll reach out to hit the ball, and like it'll be like like someone just jabbed me, and it's not ideal, but I sort of backed off on the squash a bit after that started happening, eh?
Because you're seeing a physio who's trying to help you with that?
Yeah, I was at the time, yeah.
Okay.
But currently I'm not doing anything physio related, so
Yeah.
no squash at the moment either.
Okay.
I just had the email come in about the next season, so I don't know. I really like squash. Yeah, that's another sport that I've only just started playing sort of in the last year or two. Yeah, don't know. It's good, and it's good playing with Darren, my partner. You know, and she's really good at it. She's better than I am.
I bet squash is like a good cross training because it's more of that like dynamic movement side to side and
Lots of stop-start. Yeah,
A lot of lunging. You just
heaps.
lunge after lunge after lunge.
Yeah.
That's really good.
Yeah.
And you get a really good workout. Like you burn a lot of calories. Especially if you're like me and you don't know where to position yourself on the court.
Yeah.
And Darren just makes me run around everywhere. And she just laughs at me while I run around. And I've got like triple her fitness, but she's got like triple my skill at squash. I run around, and eventually I can wear her out, but it takes about 40 minutes. And then like she's tired, and then I'm just like, got you now.
You're like your dog that when you run your dog down to the ground. You have two dogs.
Yeah.
I know that Dwayne mentioned it earlier. What's their names again? Luna and
Luna and Cricket.
Cricket. And you've brought both of them along running, and Cricket was the one that's just panting, right?
No, Luna. That's Luna. The black lab.
Yeah.
Yeah, Cricket's the Hunterway collie.
Yes, that's right.
I've never ran her to like when she has to walk. Luna a few times, but not Cricket, like not yet. Yeah, she's but being a Hunterway, it's a purpose, New Zealand bred sheepdog, so it's they're designed to be able to run up and down hills all day, and
She always finishes her runs looking just like fresh as a daisy.
Like, when you hear her panting
puffing,
even a little bit, it's like, oh, she's actually panting. That's a bit weird. But Luna pants after about a K, and then doesn't get just sort of maintains. Yeah.
She'll get there.
But she's done 30K. She did 30K with me and you one day, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
To get back to running, do you have a favorite surface that you like to run on, like road versus trail?
For training, the trail is definitely more interesting, Even the quite technical trail, I enjoy. It's more, you're out of nature and you got stuff to look at, and and you haven't got any road noise and cars and especially with the dogs, the road isn't ideal. So the trail is definitely, it's just more interesting, more varied, and
You do a lot of running in Glenbervie Forest.
Yeah, that's the main area. Probably, I don't know, maybe 60 or 70% of my runs would be in there, maybe.
That must be why you're such a strong runner, because I just feel like Glenbervie is such a, I don't know, like a powerhouse of hills, and it's got such a good surface. So maybe like your shin splints wouldn't act up necessarily if you are running more on those trails, potentially. Yeah.
Yeah, well, it's perfect, Glenbervie, with the flat and the hills, and it's got even technical stuff. It's got it's got everything really,
Yeah.
But if you don't like hills, then don't go there, Like you can't get 20K without getting about 500 meters normally,
Yeah.
A vert.
But if you don't like hills, then what are you doing wrong?
I've noticed that in like the in the dedicated marathon road community, well, online anyway.
Oh, what do you mean?
There are some of them who don't like hills. Some of them just run flat, and they talk about 100 meters of elevation. Oh, it was a hilly one.
Oh,
and I'm like, was it a 5K? Yeah, oh no, that was a 30K training run. And I'm like, oh, sorry.
Yeah, it is a beautiful thing moving here and seeing. I think like it's just nice. You guys have a lot of hills to train on, and it makes you a better runner faster, for sure. So you gain your fitness fast.
Yeah, there's not a lot of options in Whangarei to run like flat runs, and if you do like run flat out to Whangarei and back or around the loop,
you
get pretty bored of it.
That's the only place really you can do it.
Yeah.
Go out the Waimahangar and back, or
yeah.
Otherwise, it's hilly. Yeah.
Pretty flat out at Whangarei, maybe out a little bit. Even that, you get into the hills again pretty quick. Yeah.
Do you have a favorite run or race that you're most proud of?
Yeah, the Auckland Marathon would be the
Yeah.
one. Yeah, that would be it. That was the only time I've done the proper dedicated training for longer than sort of 6 or 8 weeks, and sort of tried to follow a plan. So just being able to follow the plan as best as I could, and then just for it all to come together on the day, and to come in at a time that I was aiming for, or slightly quicker than I thought I could do was a great feeling.
Yeah, you ran 2:54. Can you tell us a little bit more than leading into Auckland, like what your specific training plan was?
What training plan did you follow?
I had that. I just had that Runner's World sub 3 hour plan, and then I just modified it a little bit. But yeah, it's essentially you've got like the long run on the weekend, and then you've got like a tempo run during the week. You've got the speed workout. There's maybe one of them or two of them, and that's more or less it. It's pretty straightforward.
Yeah.
There's not, it's like 1 or 2 speed workouts a week, a long run, and then sort of a couple of other sort of medium length easy runs, I suppose. But it's at 80-20, like normally, 80% easy, and then 20%, tough. Those interval workouts, there was the interval session on Tuesday. I think I had it on Tuesday, and that was the hardest. It was the hardest session of the week. I think I got to the point where I was doing 10 by 1s at like your 10k pace or a little bit quicker. And by that
10 by
10th one, you were
1K?
just, 10 by 1k, yeah.
Okay.
Or 10 by 800 metres.
Okay.
And then you were just wrecked by the end of that. But then
Yeah.
like a day or two later, you feel when you're running, when you're running at your marathon goal pace, it feels easy because you've just, ran a whole lot of intervals substantially quicker. So
Yeah.
I think that's the whole idea with intervals is to get used to running quicker than your goal pace. And then when you do run your goal pace, it's more comfortable because not often in training I was running, I think ended up being 4:15 was the pace you had to run for the marathon.
Sub 3, yeah.
And in training, I don't often run that quick, like unless you're doing the intervals.
Yeah.
Yeah, because that's quicker than I'm sort of comfortable with, and to be able to, you had to hang on to that for 3 hours. So it was an awesome challenge,
Yeah.
And if you'd asked me years ago, I thought, wouldn't have had a shot at making that, but I made it, and I'm real happy about that.
Was that your debut marathon? Like actually racing a marathon?
Yep, that's the first time I've ran a marathon. Yeah.
Shit.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. Dwayne showed me the Runner's World one, and I like it because it's free. But I think it is is that the one I'm thinking of? Yeah. And it is a really good plan. Like I love that you're having to do, those are Yasso 800s, I think, is what it is, which Yasso is like the classic marathon workout where you put your goal pace in for the 800 meters. So if you're trying to run a sub 3, then you're running like 2:59, let's say, for those 800 meter repeats. And then, but maybe you had some K repeats in there too. And then the long runs are like money when you start to practice that marathon pace in the longer runs. Is that in that plan? Okay.
That would have been in the plan.
Yeah, and it was near the end. It was like there were 30k at like a tiny bit quicker than the marathon pace, just to see where you were at. And if you couldn't do 30k a few seconds quicker, then you probably weren't going to be able to do 42k at that pace. It was somewhere around there.
Was there any like dark moments during your training where you're like, this is too hard, or like?
Oh
or was
yeah, doing those intervals, yeah. Like, I would be on that crit track, and I'm like, and then like I'm looking at the thing counting down that stupid watch, and I'm like, no, how's that a minute? That can't possibly be a minute. And then I'm like, here I go again. And then it was just awful. Sometimes you really had to push to get through it.
Yeah, of course those Yasu 800s only a minute rest. And,
minute rest. Yeah,
And so if you're puffing hard by the time you get to the end of your 800, you're probably still going to be puffing by the time you start. And so you hope to get through at least maybe I'd say 6 before you're at that point where you're not recovering.
Yeah. 'Cause sometimes I'd be at like the third one. I'm like, no, not tonight. And it's like I made it every time. Like I made it every time. But the temptation to there's like running's like that. When you're running competitively and fast, like you're stressed. The body's really stressed. And it's too easy just to say that's it and to give up. But there's that temptation. it's there all the time, huh?
I think intervals are so good for training that into your mind because, I can remember countless times being, 8 400s into a block of 20 and just being like, I can't do this. And then I think to myself, maybe I'll just do 10 tonight, And so or just do one more, and then you get to 10 and you're like, oh, I can probably do 2 more and make it 12, and then before you know it, you're like, oh, just one more and it's 19, and then one more it's 20, and
you
you're
get
done.
there, right? And every time you finish, you feel better, right?
Yeah.
Like I found even with the long runs, if you get like 10k in and you're thinking, oh, I could just loop back to the car and that'd be okay.
Yep.
But then you finish it and you do your 25 or your 30, and I don't think there's been a single time where I've got back and gone, damn it, I wish I'd turned around at 10k.
Yeah.
Like, it doesn't really happen, no.
Do you have ways of kind of when you're in those darker moments or those moments of like, I don't want to do another repeat, what do you use as like a monologue in your head to try to keep going? Like, do you pull David Goggins out, or what do you do?
No, I think I just tell myself that you've got to do it. Like, I don't give myself the option to not do it.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And I think like if you don't make it, it would be like, it's not really like a monumental failure, but you sort of tell yourself that it would be.
Yeah.
And that maybe if you didn't make it, then what's your next run going to be like?
Yeah.
If you maybe the first time you quit, it'll make quitting the second time easier, and then the third time even easier, and then before you know it, I don't really go running anymore. I'm just doing park run and talking to runners because I know what they all talk about, but I'm not actually doing it. Oh no, and that's I mean that's a huge spiral, obviously, but you never know.
No. Yeah, it's true. You could spiral. I don't know. Yeah, I do agree with you on like the failure part. I feel like there's been runs that I've done, or some of those interval sessions, and I finished have been like, I feel like a failure, but I did the work and like I did it all, and so at least I finished it. And in the end, like I'm gonna try not to let that sour my mood the whole time. So.
And you can't take it too seriously as well, Like, you've got to be serious, but you've got to, I'm into running because I enjoy it. It's mainly like meeting people and being with the groups and stuff. But if you're not enjoying it, then it would be real, like, you don't want it to be a slog go. You want to be out there because, you love running and, you love doing it.
Yeah, I think sometimes failure as well can be, I know it feels terrible if you get like 12 into your 16 repeats or something and you fail there. Sometimes it is a failure, but you can also use it as like a pretty nice benchmark to build off and go, oh, maybe I was aiming a bit too fast and I just need to like dial back my first 10 or something. I know for racing as well, like done plenty of 5Ks at Parkrun where I started out too hard and blowing up and go, oh, okay, my fitness isn't quite where I thought it was. And even though you fail on that day, it just gives you nice information in the future to work off.
Yeah, I even got that recently at the beach to basin when you took off. And I thought, should I keep up? And then I'm like, no, you won't be able to, which is true. And I thought, you should at least give it a go. And then I'm like, no, just leave him. He can go. Like, catch you later. I'll see you at the finish line anyway. And then I saw my time at the end, and I was happy enough with that. But I thought I probably could have been, a little bit quicker. But that's cool, that's where I'm at. Yeah. And the 10K is quite a good distance to gauge where the fitness is at, because you can really go for it.
Yeah, you can.
And I had run beach space and quicker than that before, so. But no, that was cool. There was a bigger group the year I ran it quicker. There was about 5 or 6 of us in that group, and then it will split off from there. Yeah. I remember Francois, he beat me right at the end. I was ahead of him the whole race. And then he passed me in that last, he passed me with about 500 metres to go. And then I passed him. Oh. And I've got him. And then he just came out of nowhere and passed me going past the playground at the bottom there.
That
when it finished on the other side.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, so that was the start of the 4th string.
Oh, yeah, tell us about
I think it was 4 fourths in a short period of time.
Curse.
Yeah, it was happening all the time. I got 4th at I got 4th at Beach to Basin, and then I got 4th at the Whangarei Half, and then I got 4th at the Xterra Trail run down in Auckland.
I've heard those,
Yeah, got 4th down there, but I was super stoked with the 4th down there. That was
that's impressive.
And I was happy with all the other fourths.
Yeah.
But it was just, there was another fourth. I think there was 4 or 5, there was at least 4 of them.
Yeah.
And
at least 4/4.
and then I finally got a third. Where did I get third? I can't remember now.
Was it at the Glenbervie
You
trail
got a
race?
second
Yeah, I got
place?
second there.
You got
Yeah, that
second
was
at
me and
Glenbervie.
Francois.
Yeah.
I don't know where you guys were.
Yeah, I don't know where we were either.
Yeah.
That was in 2022. I wasn't here.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was one of those weird COVID races where we couldn't where we couldn't celebrate at the finish or talk to anyone or just finish and go.
I see.
It was a weird event. I think it sort of, they had to run it that way, but
Yeah.
it must have put people off a little bit. But yeah, that was second. But I was in the front for a lot of that.
Yeah.
And then Francois got with about 8k to go, I think. And then he just powered up this hill and he was gone.
Funny.
I know, fourth at Pie Hair. Yeah, the Pie Hair Trail.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I was in third the whole time. And then that was when I hurt my knee. That was the IT thing, I think.
Yeah.
And I sort of dragged my ass to the finish line.
Yeah.
And I made it. But
Who
Shiloh won that time. Shiloh and...
or Sam?
No, I don't think Sam was there.
Okay.
I don't know who got second and third. That'll be 20... When was that? 2021 maybe. Yeah. But I think I did like hour 30 something, and I think Shiloh did hour 24.
Yeah.
He was ahead by quite a bit. And Francois got second, I think. Him and this other guy, because I thought, oh, sweet, I'm going to get third. Cool. And then this other dude just comes out of nowhere at about K19, and I'm like, who are you? And then I hadn't seen him before. I didn't know who he was. And he was just like, see you. And then I just like dragged my leg, because I couldn't, my leg, I don't know, I sort of half dragged it to the finish line. But, fourth, that was cool.
Continuing the curse.
Continuing the curse, yeah.
That's good that you broke it. Did you, to go back to Auckland training, did you use a race to test any of your fitness leading up to the Auckland Marathon?
Oh, I did park run. I got the park run down quite, on the Whangarei half. Yeah, that's right. I did that. And got down to like an hour, I think I did hour 22, I think, for the Whangarei half. So that's been, and I didn't, when we got to the top of the hill at Honorahi, I thought if I wasn't doing the marathon, I'd give it heaps now and just empty the tank completely. But I held back a bit, and that was when I knew that I could have gone a minute or two quicker. But if I did, maybe a minute, I would have maybe wrecked my chances at Auckland. So that's when I knew I was there or thereabouts for the sub 3.
That's a nice time to race a half marathon before a marathon, because I did the Sydney Marathon the same weekend.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
And that was, is it 5 weeks before the marathon?
It's about that,
5 weeks, which again is like a really good test for your fitness of like, oh, okay, I was able to run the half at this time. And so, yeah, my projected time for the marathon is still, for you, looking definitely under 3.
Because it's about an hour 24, Is that what you guys reckon? Like if you can do a half in an hour 24, around about hour 25 maybe.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Double your half time and add 10
Add
minutes.
10, yeah.
Roughly.
Yeah.
Or
I know I've
15.
heard about guys doing like an hour 28 and doing a sub 3, but that's pretty special.
Yeah.
They can't have been giving it their all for the half.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think if you can run a sub 3, you should
It's
be able
not
to
two
run
130s put together, right?
a low hour 20s.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
You think so, yeah.
With your training for Auckland too, how did you do with some of the fueling in terms of like eating gels or electrolytes?
No gels.
What did
just
you do
maple
leading-
syrup.
Okay.
Yeah, just in a little lotion bottle from the warehouse.
Can you
Don't
tell
have to
us-
spend $4 a gel.
So can you
Just a
tell us a
screw,
little
Joe.
bit more about this? This is sneaky.
Always trying to save money.
Yeah.
Yeah. You just get
How many? Okay, I have a lot of questions. Like,
It's 90 mils. It's like 2 or 3 gels.
okay, 90 mils. Yeah.
And it's pure
Is that like
carbs.
this big?
Yeah, what's that in ounces?
90
Four,
mils
yeah.
is like
3 and a bit
Probably
ounces.
2.5 ounces.
it's 1/3 of a cup.
Yeah, 'cause what's the fluid ounce?
So you would buy little lotion containers
Yeah.
and then just a thing of maple syrup. Is this?
Yeah,
Are we
just fill
talking
it up.
organic maple syrup? Or are we talking?
Yeah, no, it's that proper Canadian maple syrup.
Okay. Okay.
No, it's not that maple flavoured syrup.
That's what I'm asking.
Yeah,
okay.
no, it's like the proper.
Yep.
I'm not that cheap. Like,
Enough to buy the organic maple syrup.
and it's real watery, so you can drink it pretty easily.
It is. It's thin. It's a thinner consistency. Yeah.
Yeah.
So it probably is.
And I
nice
think
and
I
easy.
worked out the carbs. You get for every 30 ml, you get about 100 calories. So somewhere around there.
So how many bottles are you carrying with you
I would only have that one container, and I would have like just the sip, like about a third of it every sort of, I don't know, 45 minutes, I suppose. Yeah.
That's not enough, is it?
So it's you got 300 carb. 300
Yeah, I
grams
didn't.
of
Yeah, I
carbs.
didn't actually do a whole lot of fueling. I've gone to this new. I've done that, but I've gone to this new fueling now, where I just mix up the electrolyte powder and that brewer's sugar, that maltodextrin, and it's more starchy. It's not as sweet as the normal sugar.
Okay.
But it's real high in carbs, and it's really sort of soluble. So that's all I've been fueling with recently. Just pure. Haven't been doing as much of the maple syrup. Gives you a real hit of energy though, the maple syrup.
I bet.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But you need to have water with it. If you don't have the water, then it's like...
So for Auckland. So for Auckland,
It's hideous if you're not used to it, eh?
did you carry a bottle with you?
Yeah, I had a little bit with me, yeah. And I had a gel too.
So
I think I lost one of my... did I lose a gel at Auckland? I think I had a bit of maple syrup and a gel. I sort of mixed it up a bit. I didn't have the fueling really dialed in, eh? Like I didn't have an exact plan for how I was going to do it.
Okay.
Yeah, and I had a couple of those salt pills as
nice.
well. But one of them fell out of my pocket going over the bridge.
Did you... So for the actual marathon, what did you end up doing with your fueling?
I had the maple syrup, but I didn't drink the whole thing. And
So
I
you
had
just
a
swing
gel.
on it like every
Just have
8K?
a sip. Yeah, every 8 or 10K, yeah.
Okay.
Sometimes, like, I'll give it a bit of a squeeze, and have a bit more, but yeah, there's no real... I don't get too scientific on it, eh? Just
No.
clearly, yeah.
Do people look at you? Like, does it look like something else, I guess, is what I'm curious.
I don't know, maybe it does, eh?
Yeah, the first time you told me it, I was like, a lotion bottle of maple syrup.
Yeah, well, it's...
Like,
I don't even know where I got... I think I read about some runners were using it.
it's smart.
And then I saw I was looking for containers where it would work, and I just went to the warehouse and I saw it. It was only $5, and it's like that latexy, rubbery stuff.
Yeah.
And it was only a few bucks, and so that's winning already. And then you just got to fill it up, and it sits in your pocket easy,
Yeah.
and it seals good.
Yeah.
Because I had one that didn't seal very good, and I ended up with the maple syrup all through my shorts.
Oh.
And as you can imagine, sticky shorts, not a good feeling. Never a good feeling, eh?
Wait. One more. I'm sorry. I have so many questions about Auckland. The other thing I wanted to say. Oh God.
Oh no.
Sorry. Okay. Auckland Marathon was your first bigger race to where you had a bit of a situation happen at the start, and I would be curious if you could tell us a little bit more of what happened.
Oh yeah, I had a goal time in mind, which was sub 3 hours, and you've got to run 4-minute 15Ks. And at the start line, I saw these people holding up signs, and some said 3:30, some said 4, and there's one said 4:15, and I went, oh yep, that must be my group, cool. And so I went and hung out with all those guys, and having a yarn, and nothing too particular, but
And you didn't ask any of them, obviously about their time goal, because in your head you're thinking,
no,
well,
we're all in the same group, we're all doing the same time, so
yeah, we're all running a 4:15.
yeah, we're running a 4:15
Yep.
because I do remember seeing near the front 3 something, and I'm like, man, they're running quick. They're running real quick.
3:30.
It was like 3:10 or something. I'm like, whoa, that's fast. There must be a few pros here, that's
Yeah.
like 2:10, 2:12. But I thought it's the Auckland Marathon, there might be a group of 5 or 6 guys, running.
Yeah.
Maybe some international guys came over,
Some
and
LA maturity.
and then when the race started, we got into that first K, and I'm like, man, they're really easing into it. And then it took me at least a K, and I went, hang on a sec, this isn't right.
You were even walking a little bit.
Yeah, well, to get through that, I had to walk to get over the start line.
Yeah.
Yeah, because there were so many people in front of me.
4 hours 15.
And I
They
didn't
would
even-
have started quite far back.
And I didn't even click that there would be 600 people or whatever, whoever we were in front of me. It must have been a third of because there were close to 2,000 of us.
Yeah.
And I didn't click that a third of them would be running under 3 hours. Because it doesn't work like that in marathons. They normally, 5 or 10%, depending on the race.
It depends on what race. Like if you look at the California International Marathon, you've got a lot of runners running under 3.
Yeah.
But in the Auckland Marathon, there's not that many.
No,
Not
there
a
weren't that
third.
many of us.
Yeah.
And so eventually I sped up and I caught the 3-hour group out by the bridge.
And so you saw the sign 3 hours, and you're like,
Yeah, I saw the sign 3:00, and I'm looking at my time, and I'm like nearly bang on 4:15 a k now.
Yeah.
And so that was my group. And then I caught them at the bridge and I ended up, that's when I passed them there. And so I don't know, maybe it worked out in the end. Maybe I didn't go out too quick.
Yeah, honestly, sometimes that can be.
But do you have to like speed up a bit to catch the 3-hour paces?
Yeah, I sped up quite a bit through, it must have been through Ks like 4 to 10 maybe. I would have ran some early 4:05s, early 4-minute Ks, just to try and catch up to that next group. Because I think they were running a little bit ahead of the pace too, the 3-hour group, just a few seconds ahead. Yeah, because you don't want to be coming in with like a few seconds to spare, I suppose. They want to run them in with at least a minute, eh?
Yeah, and your gun time was 2:55, but your chip time was like low 2:54, I believe. Yeah. So you had to put on quite a bit.
Yeah, it took you a whole minute just to cross the starting mat.
Yeah, it was crazy. Lucky it wasn't at Boston or Berlin or somewhere. Could have been like 10 minutes to get over the mat. Yeah.
Now that you've done a marathon and you've obviously done a few halves and shorter stuff,
and the ultra, the backyard ultra.
Yeah, what do you have like a favourite distance to race?
I don't know. Like the marathon was the favourite race I've done, but having only done it once before, I'd probably have to do another one or another two before I figured out whether or not it was my favourite. But the half is a good distance. I like the half. Yeah. I quite like all of them. The 10K's cool. Yeah.
And you did Riverhead relaps. Have you done once?
Yeah,
or
done that.
twice?
No, done that 3 times.
3 times.
The first time I did it.
3 times.
The first time I did it, I'd never ran a half marathon before. And I just entered it kind of out of the blue. That was before I'd done any running with the groups up here or anything. And I think I did like 10 laps, I think.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
and I was 67K.
And everyone was going on about ultra marathons and blah blah blah, and rope burn and all these other races, and I'm like, I don't even know what they're talking about. I had no idea what they were talking about.
And you hadn't even done a half marathon.
And they were like, "Oh, what have you done, Pat?" And I'm like, "Oh, I've done a 10K."
Park
They're like, "What? You haven't even done a half?" And I'm like, "No, I haven't done a half. Oh, in training, I think I have once."
Yeah.
And they're like, "Well, what are you doing here?" And I don't know, just seeing how many laps I can do. Yeah. And they were like, "Oh my god, that's a great effort." And I'm like, "Oh, yeah, cool."
It's that David Goggins mindset.
It sort of was. Yeah, it was a bit like that. I thought, I'll just keep going. I suppose that really inspired me to keep going after that, was that knowing that I was able to complete, 60 or, close to 70 Ks without having raced. It's a completely different format, but just to be able to hang in there for that long I was pretty impressed with that.
How did you feel after that first race?
It was terrible, It was real bad, I could barely walk. I had to get carried to the car.
Oh, really?
Yeah, Darren had and my sister was there. She helped me out. Oh. And then I stayed at my sister's, and she slept on the couch. She let me sleep on her bed, but her bed's quite high off the ground. And I was like, get fucked. I don't know if I can say that. And I had to salmon onto it. I couldn't actually push my legs up, so I flopped onto it, and then I was like a seal or a salmon to try and get on the bed. And I hadn't even had a shower or anything else. Everything was just filthy. And because I couldn't even, I think someone took my shoes off.
Yeah.
And then Darren saw me, and she sort of helped roll me up onto the bed, and she's laughing, and I'm getting epic cramp, and I'm in pain, and I'm laughing too, and it was pretty hilarious. Looking back, it was really funny.
I say it wasn't funny in the moment.
There's a huge amount of pain. It was incredibly painful, but at the same time, it must have looked hilarious. Like me trying to just get on. I couldn't use my legs. I couldn't push on them. There was too much pain.
It's a different kind of pain, isn't it? When you're 6 months, a year into running, and you run yourself to the limit.
Yeah,
you truly do go to the limit, and you physically just can't operate. But I feel like once you're kind of 5 years into running, that doesn't happen to you as much.
No,
Like,
hopefully it'll happen again at this king's backyard. You know, I'm doing that in a couple of months. That's my next event.
Yeah.
And if I don't finish feeling similar to that, then if I don't get injured, then I hope that's how I'm feeling.
Yeah.
When I finish, I should be around about that.
I guess that leads into a good question. Is your next race that you're training for the Kings? The Kings.
Yeah, that's the next one. Yeah, so I'm going to try and bump the Ks up a bit, hopefully for the next 6 or 8 weeks, and then it'll be good to get a few laps there.
Yeah.
Did 15 at Riverhead last time, but I hurt my leg. Like I sort of got injured, so I don't know. Like I didn't, it wouldn't move properly. Like it wasn't really cramp. It just wouldn't. I couldn't get a full extension of my leg, and so I was sort of just dragging it along for that last lap. And it happened a few minutes before the end of the 15th lap, and then I went out and did the 16th lap and really wrecked it.
Yeah.
So I should have turned around then, because I didn't make it back on time. I did like an hour 20 for like that that last loop.
Yeah.
Oh no.
Yeah, so I should have really turned around once my leg was wrecked. I thought, gotta make it, even though it was of no consequence.
What are you eating when you're doing some of the ultra?
Oh, that backyard! I was
backyard,
I had that that tailwind. I was drinking that every lap, 1 or 2 scoops.
Okay.
And then the maple syrup, I was just drinking that at random. And then just those OSM bars.
Yeah.
I was just eating them, just little bites of them every few laps.
Okay.
Yeah, so just trying to keep up at least 250 calories a lap, I think was what I was aiming for. 250 to sort of 350.
Okay.
Yeah.
But I think you can fuel too much as well, You can definitely not fuel enough. That's the easiest way to burn out, I think. But if you fuel too much, like your stomach sort of feels full, and it's a weird feeling,
Yeah, I feel like overfueling will end your race a lot more suddenly than like underfueling will. But so it's a fine balance between like getting enough fuel that you don't just burn out over time, but not getting so much that you just end up vomiting in a bush on the side of the trail. Yeah,
because I don't know if that contributed to me going out on lap 15, because like lap 14, if you had talked to me, I'd be, sweet, I'm sweet for heaps more. I'm in the chair, I'm chatty, I'm feeling good. And then towards the end of lap 15, when I hurt my leg, I'm like, my legs, I don't know what's happened, but it was really disappointing because we were down to the night loop, and the night loop was just an out and back on the gravel road. And I'm like, sweet, I've made it.
Oh, yeah.
And the out and back on the gravel road was simple. It's like at Glenbervie, running up and down like, Mara, or, kind of thing, like run 3K, 3 and a bit, turn around, run back.
Yeah.
You got an hour to do it. You can almost walk that. And but I was only able to do that 1 lap, or 2 laps maybe. And then I was over. So, fingers crossed at Barge Park that doesn't happen. But
So
a little bit
more-
concerned, might be a bit muddy,
Yeah, more muddy or technical? I don't know.
yeah. It could just be a bit trickier underfoot. But,
Yeah, because I've ran all that back section where you go along by the fence there and you run through that paddock, and that paddock's not too bad. But it can get a bit muddy down there, during winter, so
Yeah.
we'll see. Used to run the school cross country there. Yeah. That same course, yeah. So that was done a little bit of running there before.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Bring back some old memories.
And how many minutes per lap were you getting of time like at your tent to rest? And
I was coming in about 47, 48 minutes, I think. Yeah. I think you don't want to be going any quicker than that, Even a little bit slower would be ideal, maybe 50-ish.
Yeah. What were you doing with your 10 minutes? Were you changing shoes, clothes, or just eating?
Normally I'd the first 4 or 5 laps it was the same shoes, the same clothes. I got the chair from Mitre 10, those like camp chairs. You can kind of lean back on them.
Yeah.
And I'd just jump in the chair, just lean back, and Darren would just ask me what I wanted with the drink or the food, and she'd get me that, and then just ask if I wanted my shoes changed or anything, and anything like that. And just sort of just kick back and just try and stay sort of upbeat, have a bit of a chat. And not like those real pros who try and sleep for that first 24 hours, you try and get a little nap in every lap. And then, in preparation for the next 24,
Yeah.
I wasn't doing anything like that.
Yeah.
So, just trying to just sort of stay focused, but just sort of stay relaxed at the same time.
Yeah.
And then you eventually, once things got real muddy, had to change shoes, had to change socks. But even changing socks gets hard. After quite a few laps, you're in a bit of pain, and reaching down to just to take your shoes off and stuff like
You're
that.
going to cramp.
If you don't have someone there,
Yeah.
because Darren's always been there. She's been awesome.
Yeah.
You know, she's always been there. And, you know, without the help, it would be... If you're doing it by yourself, it'd be real tough, I
Yeah.
saw some people were there by themselves, And,
Really?
and not too many, but there were a few. There was a guy next to us who was there by himself. And, yeah, that'd be a lot tougher.
I was chatting with Matt from Parkrun this morning about that, like, exact thing with the backyard ultra, and just he was saying that too. That, like, I mentioned him, I'm like, oh, I'd be happy to, like, if you need someone to help you, like, you it's definitely worth it to probably have someone help you on something like a backyard series and not do it all by yourself. Because by the end of it, you're sort of starting to lose your marbles a little bit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I needed to be talked out of the chair, that first year I did it.
Talked out of the chair?
Yeah, because I had my sister there. My sister's a nurse. She's awesome, Joe, if you're listening when you hear this. But I think she was quite concerned about my health and that. You know, being a nurse, of course.
Yes.
And she was like, oh, you know, if you want to quit, you know, that's cool. You know, we can go back to my place and, you know, have a feed and you know, and I'm like, oh, that sounds pretty good. And then Darren's just like, get the fuck out of that chair.
Yeah, that's right, Darren.
I'm like, okay, cool.
Yeah.
So you need to have someone who's going to be sort of mean, but not supportive, but not too supportive, if you know what I mean. Yeah. Like if it's like, oh, hey, you've had enough. It's like, oh, I'll jump in the car. It's like, no, it's like, get out of the chair, and if you don't make it back, then you know, then you didn't.
Yeah.
Because I couldn't imagine not getting out of the chair and seeing everyone in the corral and just going, oh, see you guys, and then it's my only option is to quit. You know, so that's hopefully where I'll end up, is out on the course and just missing the cutoff.
Yeah.
You know, because I missed out on Riverhead this year. Yeah, I really wanted to do Riverhead, but we had some, you know, stuff going on with the family and that was much more important. So, but yeah, I got the skunks coming up, so good to see the backyard make it to you know, the Whangarei, the northern region. Yeah. That'll be cool.
Any other funny stories around your backyards, or any good lessons learned for people that are doing kings?
Yeah, don't go fast.
Yeah, why would you?
Walk the hills.
Yeah, there's no reason to go fast.
Yeah, like just take it real easy.
Yeah.
Like just try and do around that 50 minutes. You know, there's no prizes for doing a half hour loop. You can't go to the finish line. Yeah, I made it.
Yeah.
And just relax. Like, I don't know, the first year I did it, I was really new to running, so it was funny to be at an event like that, which is it's a really dedicated running event. Like I must have been the only person there who just showed up to see. Oh no, there can't have been too many of us. Yeah. But even hearing everyone talk about the world of ultra running, and that was real weird to me.
Yeah, I bet.
And how passionate they were all about it.
Yeah.
Was, you know, that's what really got me. Was how everyone. It was a real community kind of feel with everyone, and it wasn't the real competitive thing with each other. Everyone was really pushing each other along. Everyone was super supportive. And when people didn't make it, people were gutted for them, you know?
I know, yeah.
They weren't like, oh, sweet, he's dropped out. That's more chance for me to win. You know, there was none of that, It was everyone wanted everyone to do their very best, I
think ultras and trails are a lot like that. Yeah, just a lot more community.
Yeah, well, the backyard in particular is in a way, it's a team event, because you can only run as many laps as there are people there. As soon as you're the last one to go out on a lap, that's when it ends, right? You can't just do 10 more by yourself.
No, I don't know how that works. I don't know if you can keep going.
No, I don't think you can.
You only finish that next lap.
Yeah, you only finish the next lap. Yeah. So it takes two to tango, as they say.
Yeah, I also think, like, I always get really excited when there's a new runner. So if you were to show up and you're telling me that you've, you know, never even ran a half marathon, like, I'd be like, this guy, he's in it. And it's just exciting when, like, new runners come in to running, I guess, and, like, whatever it is, that avenue that they want to pursue, whether that's, like, ultras or marathons or half marathons or even just fast park runs. Like, it's a really inspiring place to be. And I think that there's just so much that you can benefit, obviously, from running and from being in that community. Yeah,
just seeing people get better and you know, just seeing people, just get into it and join the running community. You know, it could benefit everyone.
Yeah.
You know, everyone should be doing it, really.
Yeah.
But you know, most people hate it. So, and I was like that for years. I used to watch my dad run. My dad ran quite a bit, and I used to watch him out there running, and I'm like, what's he up to? What a waste of time. And I'd finish work, and I'd be like, well, I can't think of anything worse than going for a run. Like, why would I do that? Like, like what's wrong with him?
Yeah.
Like, you know, and it just seems so opposed to what I was into.
Yeah.
Like, there's been a lot of changes over the years. You know, because it's difficult and it's hard and it consumes time and I think until you've actually done it for a period, it's hard to see the benefits.
Yeah.
The benefits in it until you actually can feel them. And but I remember when you start, you get the gains quicker when you're running. You gain, you know, your PBs get quicker and quicker, and then all of a sudden you've been doing it for a year or two, and it's like, oh, that's probably 99% of as good as it'll ever be. I don't know if you guys got that feeling. Like, you kind of got to a point where it was like, well, I don't know if I can really get much quicker than that.
No, you can always get quicker.
You can always get a bit quicker, right? But yeah, I don't know.
I mean, yeah, you could definitely get your marathon time quicker for sure.
Yeah, definitely.
Real long distance stuff you can.
Yeah, I definitely, I took a huge chunk off my marathon.
Yeah, you went down, you went down an incredible amount.
Yeah, it just, in the early days, those PBs come fast, but then, like, now that you've been 5 years into it, 4 or 5 years, you actually have to do a bit of work, you know, if you want a PB. Like, if you want a PB of your marathon, you have to do a pretty intensive training block, you know?
Yeah, I think I'll be able to, I think I will do another marathon again. I'd really like to.
Yeah.
I don't know about this, maybe this year or maybe next year, I don't know.
Yeah.
But I'd like to put in the full 16 weeks this time, and then start with, you know, maybe a sub 250 in mind, maybe, and then aim for that.
Yeah, definitely.
And then, you know, just be real focused on that, and then hopefully that'll be a good one to tick off.
Yeah, you know what, like, a training block feels like now too.
Yeah.
You know those intervals are going to hurt. You know the long runs are going to be tough, but you know if you get through those sessions, they're going to point you towards that sub 250.
Yeah, that's right.
So it's a bit easier to keep that all in your mind as you're doing those sessions.
Yeah, what have we got? I mean, there's Auckland again, That's not till...
Yeah.
When was Auckland? End of October?
The end of October.
October, Queenstown in November.
It's got a few hills, Queenstown?
Yeah. It's not...
Hills.
Sorry. It's not the fastest course because of how much trail is underfoot.
Yeah, that's true.
But it's not, I mean...
It's still
people say it's hilly, but I don't think it's
not
like
for
us. I mean, it's got like 300 meters of climbing, 350.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
That's a lot for some people in the marathon community.
Yeah.
You know? That's frightening.
But yeah.
Not for us, but...
I think the slower part of it is actually, there's quite a bit on the trails. And when you start sort of even just weaving slightly on a trail, it eats into your time.
Yeah, even that river trail along Parahaki there, when you pick like fives on, when we're doing like the chase, and you pick like, say, 5 minutes, keeping the fives on that little trail is quite, doing all the ins and outs,
and undulation,
along the boardwalk.
It's tough.
Yeah. That's got to be probably one of the highlights of the running career, would be Thursday. Be Thursday night,
Really?
It's really awesome, like... I don't know, like it's, like if I don't go for a few weeks and then I come back, I'm like, oh, that's why I'm doing it.
Yeah.
You know, it's,
to chase people down.
It's the best, though.
Yeah.
Like the other night when Steve sort of came out of nowhere, we got in front of him, and then me and Chris, and then we're coming along hard to drive, and Steve just appears somewhere, and I'm like, where did he come from? He must have given it heaps. And then he ends up back at the same time as us, and that was cool, And just seeing everyone catching up again, And seeing Dave and Steve arguing about, the times. It's hilarious, though.
Yeah, running is such a community thing.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
It can be, yeah.
It can be,
It can be, yeah.
Yeah, I haven't seen too much there's not much negativity in the space, which is nice.
Yeah, sometimes I think, the reason why I run is, because, life can be really hard, but sometimes, running can get you through that hard bump or whatever it is. And it doesn't feel negative. Running to me is, not a negative thing. It's a very positive, net positive gain when I'm running, and it brings a lot of happiness in my life.
Yeah, that's a good way to think about it, though.
I think, you can't really be negative when you're out there running, because if you are, then you usually just quit. And so... I think it tends to encourage like a positive thinking and positive mindset. Yeah.
Yeah, and it helps you to maybe push through other, when other parts of life get tough maybe, and you've pushed through some hard runs, and it might help out with pushing through other things that go on with your life, and life can get pretty intense.
It can get intense.
Yeah. But no, it's it's something I don't think I'll be giving it up very soon, unless I get plagued by a huge amount of injuries and I have to become one of those cyclists again.
Don't you dare say that, Pat. I need your maple syrup shots out on the chase.
Cycling's good, though. I enjoy that. Are we allowed to talk about cycling on this?
Dwayne, you ready to wrap this up?
Yeah, I think we've been going for a while, so I think it is about time we wrap this.
He's talking about cycling.
Yeah, Hayden will probably just cut it all of it out.
You can cut that out if you want, Hayden.
Yeah.
He said the C word.
Where's the F word?
The cycling word. Thank you, Pat, for coming along. If people want to follow along on your running or your journey, how do they?
Yeah, I'm on Strava. You can find me there.
Pat Kalin.
I think I'm the only Patrick Kalin on there.
Yeah. Awesome. Thanks always to Trek Trail and Fish for sponsoring another episode. Do check them out at trektrailandfish.co.nz. A big thanks to you, the listeners, for tuning in and listening to the end of this podcast. If you'd like to support it, you can do so on the socials, on Instagram. Chuck us a follow and a like on Facebook. Is always appreciated. And as always, happy running!
Did you know you were supposed to do that with us?
I was meant to do that.
Okay.
We can do that again.
Okay, we can try it again.
We'll do it again.
Should we do it again?
And as always,
happy running! Woo!